You're listening to CBS Sports Radio. We are all sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Strong opinions and your phone calls. Expect it here. CBS Sports Radio.
Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube Live. SEC, ACC, and Big Ten coverage like no other. Subscribe and like us today. Your first choice for sports talk live from the First Coast.
Hey, Jacksonville, winter is the perfect time to start planning for your healthy, pest-free spring lawn with True Green, America's #1 lawn care company. True Green's science-based approach and local expertise will help give your lawn the year-round care it needs to be thick and weed-free. Go to truegreen.com/radio to save 50% on your first service. Just call 866-946-5956 or go to truegreen.com/radio today and get a lawn to be proud of.
Get your Sunday football morning started off right with the Handicappers on Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube, 10 a.m. Eastern to noon Eastern. Your Sunday morning kickoff show where we tackle your NFL lines out in the desert, a 61.2% win rate over the last 6 years. Against the spread, over, under, money line, you name it. And we dive into the world of fantasy football year long and your DFS payouts. The only true Southern football kickoff show that talks the spreads in Vegas, your DFS and fantasy, and your year-long quest to win that fantasy football championship. Only on the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel. It's the Handicappers on Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube, 10 a.m. Eastern to noon Eastern. Sundays, all NFL season long.
At Jewelers Mutual, we're a little obsessed with jewelry. Obsessed like auctioneers with talking fast.
50, we're going to fit so.
Pop stars with auto-tune.
Yeah.
And dentists with asking questions.
So, how did he propose?
After they've put their hands in your mouth.
Great.
Yes, we've made jewelry our obsession for over 100 years. We love it so much, we named our kids Ruby, Amber, and Opal.
Venti soy latte for Opal?
At Jewelers Mutual, we insure jewelry and only jewelry, which is why people who are also obsessed with jewelry trust us with theirs.
Saturday mornings, 8:30 Eastern. Dixie Football Nation is back and better than ever. We've got Tony Agolini, Matt Carr, Tone Zariola, Bobby and Angelo, along with Mac McGee this fall. Dixie Football Nation heads to the gridiron, talking ACC, SEC, the Big Ten, and all the big games throughout the college football land. That's Dixie Football Nation, 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central, Saturday mornings on the Armchair Quarterback Show's YouTube channel, going live, or catch the instant replay.
Take the road less traveled in the newly redesigned Hyundai Santa Fe. With available H-Track all-wheel drive to help you get off the beaten path a little further together. And intuitive safety features that can help you see what's waiting around the bend. Plus, with generous room for 5 and comfortable available Napa leather seating, you can go for more drives as a family without driving each other crazy. Find new adventures together in the Hyundai Santa Fe.
I'm Amy Lawrence, and I'm up late, always, after hours, hanging out with you on CBS Sports Radio. Check it out, 2 a.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. Pacific.
Me out to the ball game. Get caught up with the big stories from around the world in sports in just a few minutes. Take me out to the ball game today, weekdays. Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube. Baseball, football, basketball, whatever's trending in the world of sports, it's on Take Me Out to the Ball Game today in just a few minutes. It drops weekdays, 9:30 a.m. Eastern, as Wake Up Y'all is ending. Take me out to the ball game today on the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel. Take me out to the ball game. The Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube Live, covering the AFC South and NFC South along with the rest of the NFL. Subscribe and
I'm Amy Lawrence, and I'm up late, always, after hours, hanging out with you on CBS Sports Radio. Check it out, 2 a.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. Pacific.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks on CBS Sports Radio, #1 sports station.
Good morning, and this is your Armchair Quarterbacks Sports Flash. Everything gets going Saturday at noon Eastern. Oklahoma State Cowboys, a 6-point favorite against the Baylor Bears in Arlington, Texas at Jerry's World. The over-under, 46.5. The Sun Belt Championship game is set for 4 o'clock Eastern time. The Houston Cougars are getting 10.5 points. They're taking on the Cincinnati Bearcats, who are trying to punch their ticket to the college football playoffs. The over-under is 52.5. The Southeastern Conference Championship game in Atlanta, Georgia. The Georgia Bulldogs hunker down as a 7-point favorite against the Alabama Crimson Tide. The over-under is 49.5. And at 8 o'clock Eastern, it's the ACC Championship game. The Pitt Panthers are a 3-point favorite in Charlotte, North Carolina at Bank of America Stadium. They'll be battling the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. The over-under is 71. And at 8 o'clock Eastern as well, the Big Ten Championship game takes place. The Michigan Wolverines, 1 win away from their first playoff appearance. They're an 11-point favorite against the Iowa Hawkeyes. The over-under is 43.5. And at 11 o'clock Eastern, Southern Cal and the Cal Bears will battle in Berkeley. The Bears are a 4.5-point favorite. The over-under is 58. This game is a makeup game for the game that was postponed due to COVID-19. And that's your Armchair Quarterbacks Sports Flash. Stay tuned for the Armchair Quarterbacks radio show and YouTube Live. Please like, subscribe, and share our show today. The Armchair Quarterbacks, your first choice for sports talk, live from the First Coast.
Applying for jobs I am horribly unqualified for until I get one. Looks like the University of Minnesota needs an offensive coordinator. Screw it. I'll need a resume and a cover letter, but I have no real-life coaching experience. So for my resume, I'm listing my coaching experience I have from NCAA on Xbox, making sure to emphasize I did it all on Heisman mode. Here's my cover letter, highlighting what a great coach on NCAA 14 I am. Keep in mind, all of this was done playing on Heisman mode, without simulating any games or rage quitting when faced with the chance of losing. Let's face it, the Minnesota offense was abysmal this past season. I can't do much worse, and I will take the job on for the estimated salary on Indeed for around 50 to 70K. Let's hope they're on a tight budget this year.
Armchair.
Hyperbole is done. Now we can finally play the game. It is the third Saturday in October, and the show is on one more time in Knoxville, Tennessee.
We are live in Tallahassee, the capital of the great state of Florida.
There's no law against scalping tickets in this part of the country, and premium prices have been paid. That's Desmond Howard going in motion on 2nd down and 5 for Michigan, playing on real grass at Michigan Stadium. Throw it to the sideline. It is intercepted. Florida State was sitting and waiting for it, and Terrell Buckley has scored a touchdown. How do you do?
All right, here we go. 56-yarder. It's got, no, does not have the leg. And Chris Davis takes it in the back of the end zone. He'll run it out to the 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 45. There goes Davis. Oh, my God. Davis is going to run it all the way back. Auburn's going to win the football game. Auburn's going to win the football game.
They're still in deep trouble in midfield. They tackle him. The ball is
unreal, dramatic, heartrending, exciting, thrilling finish in the history of college football. California.
In trouble in the backfield, wants to throw now, and he's going to go deep. And I mean deep, and I mean touchdown, Florida! Tyree Cleveland in a miracle finish. A Hail Mary that's full of grace for the Gators.
Barkley trying to bounce it. And does escape. Saquon Barkley in the clear. Still going. Saquon Barkley all the way to the end zone. Electric. 79 yards.
It's a 31-30 game. And what does Nebraska do?
I have not seen the kicker come on the field, and I don't think he's coming on the field. Tom Osborne made this decision a long time ago. He's decided to go for two and take his shot at winning. I commend him for it.
This is for the national championship for Nebraska.
And if in 48 seconds they become the winner, they certainly deserve to be national champions.
Here come the Seminoles of Florida State. One of the great traditions in college football. And this becoming one of the nation's favorite rivalries. It's a battle for flagging rights and recruiting advantages in the state of Florida as the Gators come calling and Chief Osceola ready to get it started. College football. A matchup from the state of Florida. It's the Gators against the Seminoles on an overcast day in Tallahassee.
Moody flushed, throws it down. Caught by Boston College. I don't believe it.
Today, we've got number 1 Seminoles against number 2 Hurricanes. They meet in the capital city of Tallahassee.
Good morning, and how the hell is everybody? Is everyone's joining in here with us on the final Dixie Football Nation until we figure out if we're going to do one of these sometime for the playoffs, which I'm sure we will. Hello, Bobby. How are you this morning, sir?
I'm doing good. How are you?
To update everybody from yesterday's or last night's show, the house is still smoky as hell. So, yeah, I'm back here fighting it off. For folks that missed that, we had a fire. Well, it wasn't really a fire. It was a smoke out in my kitchen while Joey and I were recording last night's show. Long story short, had to cut the show short because it was a black charcoal cloud of smoke that about suffocated me. It was all I could do to run out of the kitchen, got in here, finished the show. If you watch the end of the show, you'll notice I had a cloth to my face. I probably should have just shut the damn thing down, but I'm not built that way. So we are here this morning, and my eyes are already starting to water. It's a little better than it was last night, but we've got every fan. We've got I forget what they call it, but one of those machines that cleanses the air in here. I mean, we got every window open, every door open. It's insane.
Did you not make sure that your cigarette was out before you walked away, or
it was actually the pot brownies that caught on fire, so it was, it was kind of a win-win. No, it's there's something about the oven. We've got an oven that is okay, but if you spill one little thing
at the
bottom, it doesn't forgive it. And evidently there were juices at the bottom of the damn oven from Thanksgiving, and I only had the oven on 375 too. That's the kicker. Like normally I keep on to like 400 something, but I wanted to see what it was going to be like because I was about to cook a pizza. I'm glad I only had it on 375. There's no telling what the hell would have happened if I'd actually had that thing up over 400 like I normally do. So I think I'm in the market for a new oven is essentially what that's gonna So if anyone knows someone that may want this oven, there's honestly nothing wrong with it. It's just time to upgrade. It's just
come buy the oven that just almost burned your house down. I don't know if I'm
I mean, that's the thing, is that it didn't really burn anything down. It's just it's just a lot to keep up with, and we've been looking at a new oven anyways, and this is just kind of kicker. We're like, all right, I mean, we'll probably practically
glad you're okay.
We'll probably practically just give it to someone, to be perfectly honest with you. But
pizza joint down the street.
Angelo might need it the way his bets have been going, so we'll keep that one in mind.
Fair enough. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into the first game at hand. And look, I guess let's go ahead and start off with the Big 12 championship game, because chronologically that's how we're going to see them today. And the first game of the day is going to be the Big 12 championship, noon kickoff. You've got Oklahoma State trying to punch their ticket into the playoffs. If they win, assuming there's no wild chaos, if they win, Tony, I start with you. Do they get in the playoffs?
If Oklahoma State wins, I do think they get into the playoffs. Unfortunately for them, or maybe fortunately for them, I think Baylor wins today. I think, and this will kind of be my theme for the day, I think, other than Alabama, who played tiddlywinks with Auburn for 58 minutes, I think we're going to see some rivalry game hangovers today, even though there are championship games at stake. So I think for that reason, I like them. I also am not quite sure about Oklahoma State in a big spot like this, where all of the pressure is actually on them. And I know they had pressure last week playing in Bedlam, but I think I like Baylor today, and I really like what Aranda's done there. I know we'll get into probably the coaching changes and stuff later on in the show, but I do think Aranda would have been a fantastic pick for LSU.
Bobby, do you think Oklahoma State gets in?
I think they should get in, and I think they probably will, honestly. I'd put in a one-loss, Big 12 championship Oklahoma State team over an undefeated Cincinnati team, just based off strength of schedule and the fact that Oklahoma State is going to finish the year, if they win today, with 2 top 10 wins. So yeah, I think Oklahoma State will get in. I think they absolutely should.
Tones, what say you?
I think if Oklahoma State does indeed win today, that they should, and they do deserve to get in. But as Tony alluded to, I think that Baylor might actually come away with this one today, which might be better or worse for Oklahoma State. We'll see. But if Oklahoma State, to me, if they win, they're automatically in. I do like Baylor to win this one today, but if Oklahoma State represents the Big 12 with one loss as its champion, that resume is definitely enough for me to put them in the playoffs.
I look, if Oklahoma State wins, I have a hard time keeping them out. I know a lot of people are saying Cincinnati. Now, this is with the assumption that like Alabama were to win the SEC championship game. Obviously, if Georgia knocks out Alabama, you're going to get a Big Ten champion. Well, you will get probably Michigan, assuming Michigan wins. And you would get Cincinnati, and then I think you would get Oklahoma State. If you get to the point where, let's say Alabama does win, then it gets a little tighter, and it's really coming down to, does Cincinnati get in or does Oklahoma State get in? Because I think we can all agree Michigan would get in if they get a W. It doesn't matter how much they win by. All they had to do is get that W, and they're in.
Mm-hmm.
You asked me this a month and a half ago, and I would have been bitching and moaning and saying that Cincinnati deserves a chance. But I've watched Cincinnati over and over and over again, and one game's not going to change my mind today. They go out and blow out Houston. I'm sorry, to me, it's too little too late. You had to have shown it over, because college football is supposed to be over the entire body of work, and they have struggled to put away teams that they should be dominating. So if Oklahoma State gets the W, considering their resume, I've got to put them in. Now, to Tony's point, Baylor's a good team, and I don't know if they're going to get the W, but if they do get that W, I think they should get the nod over Cincinnati. I kind of hope Cincinnati gets beat today, just kind of put all that junk to rest. because I just think they're a fraud.
Mm-hmm.
And the Cincinnati team, was it last year or the year before that they played Georgia in the bowl game? That team played pretty well. And they're a pretty damn good team, but I also don't think that was as good of a Georgia team as we're looking at today.
Yeah,
So
absolutely not.
With Cincinnati, and I think you're right. It's different from when UCF had their season 3 or 4 years ago. That conference was a lot better a couple years ago, and it'll be good again down the road. Although they're losing, two of their best teams to the Big 12 eventually, but the usual suspects that are usually pretty good and give other teams fits in that conference. Temple was terrible this year. They've been pretty decent. They've had 3 really good coaches come through until the guy they just fired. UCF was probably on a path to like a 9-3, 10-2 kind of season this year, and Gabriel got hurt and everything went to hell in a handbasket there, and they beat the crap out of UCF when they played. But the rest of that conference, other than maybe Tulsa, there's not a good team, and Tulsa played them close. So I wouldn't be totally floored today if Dana Holgerson and company down there have a good game plan for Cincinnati. They run that air raid stuff, a lot of underneath crossing routes. They make guys tackle other guys in space. Houston's defensive coordinator, Belk, is going to be a hot commodity this offseason too. So I do think Houston's got a great chance to knock off Cincinnati today, and I'm with you. I'd like to see it happen.
all right, moving on from that. Real quick, everyone's prediction in that game. Tony, you said that you like Baylor. What's the score?
That one, I think I like a 34-31 kind of thing. I don't think the Big 12 championship is going to be one of those stereotypical Big 12 52-49 kind of games. I think it's in the 30s, and I think Baylor gets the win there.
Bobby, what say you?
I'm going to take Oklahoma State. I'm going to go opposite here. I like what I saw last week from their defense in the second half of that game. I think it's not going to be too terribly high scoring. I don't even think it might even get into the 30s, but I'll say 31-27 Oklahoma State wins.
In tones?
I'll go 31-30 Baylor. I think that Baylor is going to win this game. I think that Gundy's done an incredible job this year, but I think Oklahoma State reverts to some of their early season ways today and loses a hell of a battle, but they lose today to Baylor. I feel like Baylor wins 31-30 in a close one.
The line today, by the way, I probably should have mentioned this before we started all that. But the line today, looking at it this morning, 6.5 points. Oklahoma State is favored. The game is in Arlington, Texas, and the over/under is 45.5. So most of y'all have the game going over. 45.5 seems extremely low, by the way, for the Big 12. But Baylor's defense and Baylor's style of play, I can kind of understand why it's so low. But that just seems extremely low for the Big 12.
I know Oklahoma State tries to, shorten the game with their running backs as well.
I'm going to take Oklahoma State. I think it'll probably hit the over. I don't feel as comfortable with that. I'm going to take Oklahoma State something like 27-20. I think it's going to be a good game. I hope it's a good game because I really don't want to get locked in on the Kent State Flashes and North Illinois Huskies. Instead, that's the only other 12 o'clock game that I'm seeing on the docket right now. So let's hope it's.
Are we discussing that one? Because I've got like 4 pages of notes on the.
I prepped the whole show for that, man. Are you kidding me?
Well, if one of y'all would have worn a Kent State Golden Flashes ball cap, like we would be in
like in typical Mac fashion. Like, how is this game not like Wednesday or Thursday instead of at noon when every other championship game is going on?
When you could have actually gotten someone to watch it, right?
Yeah, I would have watched it. There was nothing on TV Wednesday or Thursday. Well, right. Thursday football, but still.
Right. Yeah, I would have watched it on Thursday.
Yeah.
I didn't give a crap about Cowboys.
Yeah, the MAC plays like Tuesday at 10:30 at night. Who gives a crap?
The only thing I cared about Cowboys and the Saints was that last touchdown that was caught, that long touchdown. I was convinced I was going up against him in fantasy, and I was cussing like hell, trying not to wake up my wife. Because I was like, all right, this guy had to start 2 Saints wide receivers. Like, I am in the money. They haven't done jack. And dude takes off down. I don't know if y'all watched that game, but he's like weaving through the damn defense. And I'm like, are you serious right now? Are you freaking serious right now? And I had to calm down. I pulled up the app about 5 minutes later just to calm down. And I'm not going against that guy. I thought I was going up against Harris instead I was going up against Smith and Callaway. And I was convinced I was going up against it. I was so pissed. I was like, never mind, I'm good. The guys I was going up against had a combined 3 catches for 28 yards, no touchdown. Like, all right, thank God.
Good day for you.
Yeah, well, I get Deontay Harris confused with Smith and Callaway and all the other bums that are on the Saints. Because I mean, pretty much all they are is just they're glamorized defensive backs because they're over there trying to knock passes down and tackle guys after the interception since Taysom Hill's taken over. Everyone thought Jameis Winston was going to be the issue. No.
Yeah, Winston was really good. In our full admission here, this is how obviously I watch the Jaguars. I keep one eye on the NFL, but obviously not as invested as I am in college. But
right.
I found out Winston blew out his entire knee like Thursday at about 4:00 in the afternoon, which I hated for him because actually, it's weird for me to admit this as a Gator fan. Minus some of the dumb stunts he pulled at FSU, he's actually, to me, he's a likable guy. And I think because he's got that like fun, quirky press conference personality. Mm-hmm. I like him a lot more now that he's not at FSU than before. But the Saints are an absolute disaster with him, and I don't know what in the world they're thinking trying to get that tight end to play quarterback.
I mean, basically Trevor Siemian was worse. And the one thing that he gives you is that he did have 100 yards rushing. But the problem is they kept trying to throw the ball. Like, dude, just run like the option, dude, and just try to squeeze down the clock because he is an absolute disaster. The one thing I know for sure, Jameis Winston has probably got himself a long-term contract in New Orleans because he's like, yeah, man, keep throwing it, buddy. You just keep chucking. Some of those throws were like, what are you doing? He's like some guys throw off their back foot. He was throwing off his no foot. He's just chucking it up in the air. Like, did y'all watch the Pac-12 championship last night?
Yes, sir. Like that Oregon quarterback.
The pass at the end of the half where he's like falling out of bounds and he decides he's going to thread the needle even though the guy's triple covered. What are you doing? Just do this. It's coming to an end. The half is coming to an end.
Honestly, I know you alluded to it before real quick, but yeah, the Pac was smart. They always put their championship game on a Friday. I'd like if they put more games on Fridays throughout the year instead of, getting clogged up on Saturdays. And Conference USA championship last night was a lot of fun as well. Yeah. Western Kentucky came up short against Tony's UTSA.
America's team, 12-1. I'm a little surprised, like, no one kicks the tires. Obviously, he's not going to LSU or USC or Florida or whatever. But Texas Tech didn't kick the tires on that guy, or one of these other directional Texas openings. They couldn't call the San Antonio guy. I know he signed an extension like 6 weeks ago, but you would think he would have been in a little bit of demand somewhere.
Man, North Texas kicked the crap out of them last weekend, didn't they?
Yeah. I might have missed on that in the
just barely. You're giving up 10 and they lost by 22. So
I was going to say they lost like 49-3 or something stupid like that. But heck of a way to end a possible undefeated season. But at least they got that conference championship.
Yeah, you just missed that one. I mean, that was impressive.
They're not a playoff team, by the way.
Not a football playoff team.
Yeah.
No. By the way, shout out to my Lady Seminoles who are playing for the national championship tomorrow in soccer.
So yeah, who are they playing?
I didn't watch the second game. I only watched our games. And I was like, all right, it's enough of this. I can watch Florida State women's soccer. I can't watch every team, man. I'm just like, it's enough.
Let me try the Google on that.
Yeah, I'll pull it up in a second.
They're playing Rutgers.
We just beat Rutgers.
Oh, never mind. Hang on.
So
UTSA maybe.
Possibly.
Might be. KC United. Is that
why don't we move on? This is more women's soccer talk than we had planned today.
I don't know.
Okay, so Florida Gator football, they go out and hire a new coach, Billy Napier. Tony, I'll start with you.
Hang on, I'm knee deep in this.
All right, Bobby, I'll start with you. Tell me about how he's going to be the next Nick Saban, and everything is kumbaya now in Gatorland.
Well, I can't guarantee that, and I don't want to get my hopes up too high because I'm just scared of getting let down again. But I think he could be a good coach and hopefully better than Mullen. Like you mentioned, he was from, Saban's coaching tree, I guess. He had a lot of praise from Saban just the other day, I believe. He's known to be a pretty good recruiter. He told players when he was recruiting them, I think it was Jay Williams, he was talking about it. He mentioned how, Napier promised to one of the players he was trying to recruit that he was going to fulfill his contract at Lafayette. He was going to stay there the whole way through and try and win as much as he can there. So he's a committed guy. I like that. He seems to be a good recruiter. He has some connections, obviously, with the background with Saban. So I think it could work out well. I think he'd be a good coach, and I'm hoping it's a good long-term thing. I'm not expecting, an incredible season right off the jump, but I'm hoping it's good long-term.
Tony, are you now with us?
I am. FSU will be playing the Stormin' Mormons in the final. So
Okay.
BYU FSU, tune in when you can. Univision.
Most likely ACC network, but it could be. It was on ESPNU last night. It's almost like they were trying to resurrect that forgotten about channel.
Well, we did get some news. We did get some good news from Heaven the other day. They are adding the ACC network to Xfinity, so I'll actually be able to watch some ACC college basketball this year. So,
that's probably a sure sign that they're shutting down the ACC network.
Probably right before UNC Duke on like a Wednesday. So that'll be good. I mean, for Napier, I'm glad we got him. I know this last few days there's been some things that came out that I forget who it was, Brett McMurphy or somebody said that when the Florida job opened that Lincoln Riley and Brian Kelly, the words that I think it was McMurphy, the words he said were that they were ready to dance, which to me means they were ready to drive the price up for everybody else and start a bidding war with like 4 different schools. So I am happy with Napier. I think he brings a lot of things to the table that we now realize that Mullen lacked, at least for the last 2 years. I don't know if it was the case during his entire tenure or not, but all the organizational stuff when it comes to recruiting and assistants and bringing up assistants.
You mean like integrity?
Yeah, that's
you didn't realize that Dan Mullen. See, that's the problem with Gators, man, and Gator fans. They don't realize when they have an absolute jackass on the sidelines. They didn't.
Well, I think
we do. Oh, we do.
They didn't realize it with Mullen. They didn't realize it with Muschamp. They didn't realize it with Urban Meyer, and they didn't realize it with Steve Spurrier. They've all been jackasses. I will give you McElwain. He was there, right?
McElwain was more of a fuddy-duddy than a jackass, I think.
He wasn't a jackass. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
McElwain was actually seemed like a decent guy. And then the guy that you ran off that ended up coaching Illinois, what the hell's his name?
Oh, Zook.
Zook seemed like a pretty good guy. But everyone else, it's almost like Napier is the first Florida head coach since Zook that I would say that I was impressed with, not just his resume, but also I believe he's a pretty good guy. Now we'll find out if he goes in there and wears the Darth Vader mask or whatever the hell. By the way,
and it seemed like
greatest mic drop in SEC history with the freaking
that was awesome
Missouri coach.
Yeah, I drink with
over that was awesome. That was awesome.
And it was that was fantastic because I saw that it came out like a half hour I guess after the game at his post game presser and that was pretty sweet. I'm not even a Star Wars guy, but I at least got the joke of it. But yeah, I just think for the first couple of years, I think Mullen wasn't that guy. Like he was, minus the blow up with Mason up at Vanderbilt over a targeting call or whatever. That was dumb. But it came more to light last year and this year than it did anything else. And then this year it came to light more because you start losing and everybody starts to nitpick stuff and you start to see big picture and. Like, man, this guy, he's a really good coordinator and he'd be a good coach at Mississippi State or like a,
before he ever took the field, before Mullen ever took the field, he had that stunt where he was basically trying to hide the rapey kid on the University of Florida and he wouldn't let the other kid get out of his dorm room. He's been like, I don't want to be his damn roommate. And Mullen's, we'll revisit it in the fall. Mm-hmm. That kid said, I'm going to go revisit it on the West Coast. Right. That right there, before he ever took the damn field, told me all I need to know about Dan Mullen is that his soul was for sale.
Right, because you can pull that stuff at Mississippi State and nobody gives a crap. And they brought back kids to Mississippi State that really had no business playing college football, Do that
How hard is it to move a kid out of a dorm room?
Yeah, exactly. But do that at other places, and obviously everybody's going to know about it.
If you have to, with the money you're making, go put his ass up in a hotel. It was like 3 weeks till the end of the season.
Yeah. So, but I think with Napier, he brings the organizational stuff. He's going to have a much bigger staff. I guess he's finally convinced the administration to spend more money in certain places with football. We've got the new football only standalone facility that's hopefully going to get finished in June or July. So there's a lot of good stuff going that we really didn't need Mullen to try and survive yet another season and get all this fresh start stuff going with a coach that's immediately on the hot seat. So
I think the other thing that drew them to him, just the football side of it, he puts up points.
Oh yeah, he's an offensive oriented coach. We didn't need to go get bog it down. We've already had that guy. We had that guy back with Muschamp. So right. He's hell bent on recruiting, which is a good thing. You would think that would be automatic for a college football coach, but as we've discovered, not all coaches think that way. They think they can just either load up on the portal, or that they're such a great coach that they can bring a bunch of 2 or 3 stars in and just make them 5 stars through their smart coaching and development. We'll see what kind of staff he brings in. His first press conference is tomorrow at 4:30. We may get an announcement on an offensive or a defensive coordinator. I think Napier will call the plays. He'll have lots of help there. But the other thing too with him, obviously his background, he's been at Clemson, he's been at Alabama, he's been at he's he's been at quite a few places where they know what to do to win. And he was actually at Clemson before they really got things going. He was responsible for recruiting Taj Boyd, who's the one who really, really put Clemson in the spot that they're in now. And then at Alabama, he was there. I want to say he was there twice, but if Saban brings you along, gives you promotion, all that kind of stuff, you're probably doing something right. So we'll see what happens. All that said, I'm expecting a full meltdown from the Gator fan base if they lose to Appalachian State like 38-10 today. I'm sure that's coming. But ultimately, I think they're okay though.
I'll be honest with you. I kind of expect them to lose because I feel like these are a lot of distractions.
Yeah. So and App State's really good. So, but I think next year
that should actually be a really good game. By the way.
Yeah, it will be. I'll watch for the first half hour. Like I don't feel like I'm going to learn a whole lot about him today, but I'm obviously not going to.
No, but you got to be excited to see what their offense looks like, and
yeah, a little bit. And there are some pieces in place at Florida for him to do okay next year. The quarterbacks have a long way to go. I'm assuming it's going to be Richardson next year, and Emory Jones transfers somewhere. We could use some depth there. But as far as the schedule goes, I think 5 out of our first 6 games or something like that are at home. We only traveled to Knoxville before Florida, Georgia. And then after that, we play at A&M.
Florida State takes everybody's retreads. Emory Jones will end up being our quarterback next year.
Well, the portal, it's funny. The portal can work for you, but you can't build your entire program off of it. And I think that's what some of these, like Mullins tried to do that, and Kiffin is basically going to try and do that at Ole Miss. But you can get a good player here and there. Forget his name offhand. The 11 for FSU, who you kind of have to know where he is on every snap on defense. He was a star there, getting him out of the portal. But
Johnson from
you can also have
Georgia. I'll be honest with you. I think Johnson could be a top 10 pick in the NFL.
Oh yeah, he definitely could be top 15 for sure. And what's funny is if he stayed at Georgia, would you know who he is? Just because they've got 11 guys that are
exactly
nuts, So, but anyway, ultimately, I think Napier will do okay. I'm not expecting a whole bunch next year. Maybe 8-4, 9-3 tops, but you gotta fill the hopper with good recruits and see what happens.
Keir Thomas and Jermaine Johnson both might end up being drafted in the first round, because they were, of course, Thomas. I knew Johnson became the household name for everyone, but Thomas was the transfer from South Carolina, and they basically just said, "We'll meet you at the quarterback."
Yeah. And the guy we got from Georgia had 4 sacks, but also had about 80 yards in penalties the other day, and he got 4 sacks in a game. So people want to put him in the Hall of Fame, but he's really only done well against FSU, Samford, and Vanderbilt. So,
by the way,
take that as well.
Can we talk about the class act of Jim Harbaugh? He's going to donate his bonus money if he wins today, $3.5 million, to the Michigan staffers who were affected by the pandemic?
That's a great thing right there, and a great thing to
$3.5
do.
million.
That's a lot of money. And, at the end of the day, what we've known this past week is college coaches are just about money, right? And here's a guy, Harbaugh, who is actually willing to donate his money. That's unbelievable class act right there after a week of selfishness and coaches.
Think about that the next time you're walking out of Publix and you won't throw $1 in the Salvation Army bell.
Yeah,
to make me feel bad.
$5 million.
That's a lot of khaki pants right there.
That's
so he has to win today?
He has to win to make the playoffs. And if he makes the playoffs, it's a bonus of $3.5 million.
Well, I got news for him because that got Iowa winning today.
Well, I got news for him. Considering your track record this year, that's money in the bank.
That's probably good. I'm gonna bet he's gonna open that wallet anyway. So I think they're all getting their money.
He's already promised it. He's probably gonna have to.
Welcoming Angelo onto the show. Angelo, how are you this morning, sir?
Good. I thought that you guys were gonna have like cardboard cutouts of just like a blank face for the like MLB's doing.
I did do it to our logo on Twitter and on Facebook, but yeah, no, we didn't. We got really bottled up talking about Florida State women's soccer and the Kent State Golden Flashes the first half hour. So now we finally get to the SEC championship game, the mother of them all. And Alabama now, I think it's around a 6.5. Let me double check that real quick. It was 6.5. It was, you could have, it's 7 this morning now. You could have gotten it at 5 earlier in the week, which I thought was insane. I jumped on it when it was 5. Georgia is a 7-point favorite with the Alabama Crimson Tide. It's in Georgia, but I don't think that realistically matters because it'll be a true split in that stadium, I guarantee you. Over under is 49. So essentially the projection is 28-21 Georgia. All right, we'll go around the bend here. We'll start with you, Angelo. How do you see the SEC championship game going down today?
It's gonna be a great game. I'm trying to think who I would put money on. I'm not going to touch the game because I think it could go either way. I can even see a blowout from one side or the other. Georgia's defense is just really, really talented. Second best defense in the country. I know Alabama is going to come out fired up, and you never really bet against Nick Saban. But ultimately, I think Georgia is just too strong of a team. You could argue that they might have a letdown, being undefeated, but ultimately, I think Alabama will cover. I don't know who's going to win, if it's going to come down to the last drive, a field goal, something like that. But I think Alabama 7's a lot. 7's a lot of points to go against Nick Saban.
All right, Bobby, what say you on the SEC title game?
On paper, Georgia, there's no reason they should win this game by a large margin. They're a much better team. They've played much better football this year. Alabama's played close to too many teams that they should not have been playing close to. They had no business. Last week, an example of that being Auburn. But, it's hard to, like Angelo said, it's hard to bet against Alabama with so much on the line, and Georgia not having much on the line. If they lose today, they're still going to get in. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But for Alabama, this is kind of their season right now. But even with that being said, I still think Georgia, they're too much better than Alabama. And I think they'll win. I think they'll even cover too.
Tony, what say you? I know you're not picking Georgia. There's no way you're picking Georgia.
I'm definitely not rooting for Georgia. That is
I'm not rooting for them. But
I actually think Georgia gets over the hump today. I think Georgia wins like 24-21. I think it's a low-scoring defensive game. I think Alabama will load up to stop Georgia's running game and hope that Bennett makes some mistakes over the top. And that's kind of my only holdup with Georgia is trusting Stetson Bennett, who still hasn't really had to play from behind or really handle any kind of adversity this year. I mean, their only real adversity might have been down up 3-0 against us with like 4 minutes left, and then all hell broke loose. They didn't have to waste a bunch of energy playing Georgia Tech last week, which is good for Georgia. like I said, Alabama kind of played patty cakes. It looked like with Auburn, and I was only able to see the fourth quarter, but
they should have lost that game. Auburn absolutely blew that.
Yeah, and
not to mention, can we talk about how stupid the overtime rule is?
Yeah, that, and then the kid goes out of bounds for no reason for Auburn and gives Alabama a bunch of time. So I don't, whatever. Auburn did blow that for sure, and I don't.
And it wasn't even Bo Nix's fault this time.
Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, I like Georgia in this game. I think like a 24-21 kind of game. But yeah, Georgia gets through, I guess. I am rooting for Alabama, obviously. So and the other reason I'm rooting for Alabama is because Georgia's going to get in regardless, and I at least want Georgia to have to maybe beat Alabama twice to get a national title.
Tones, what say you?
Yeah, I actually want Georgia in this one. I'm a little tired of seeing Alabama get in the playoffs, quite frankly. I would not mind at all if Alabama sat this one out, if we got a year without the Crimson Tide in there. But you look at the money line and Nick Saban's times 200, and you're sitting there like, holy crap, this money line, Nick Saban, you could put $50 on him, and if Alabama wins, you get $100. I don't think Alabama's ever been this big of an underdog in this type of game before. It's really hard to bet against Alabama getting 7 points and that money line times 2, and it could even climb a couple ticks by game time with how everyone perceives Georgia this year. And as much as I do want Georgia to win, I think Alabama and the points is a smart play today. They haven't played their greatest set of football this year. That's been obvious from an offensive line standpoint, to say the least. But these past couple of weeks, they have tuned up a little bit. I know they played a close game against Auburn last week. They ended up pulling it out, gave themselves a chance to still get in the playoffs, and I think they capitalized today by winning a close one. I got Alabama in a close one. As much as I'd love to see Alabama go down and not sniff the playoffs, I think they play a close one today. They definitely cover. I don't know if they do enough to win, but they definitely cover.
Georgia thumps their ass today. I think Georgia covers the spread by a large margin. I don't have a good feel on – I wish I could give you a close prediction on the score, because I don't have a good feel on how many points Alabama is going to get on the board, but I do believe Georgia's defense is going to keep them shut down. I also think Alabama's defense is not as good as it has been in years past, and Georgia is going to be able to move the ball. They're going to mash their ass, and I see Georgia winning this by 2, maybe even 3 touchdowns. I'm going to go ahead and throw it out there because I do figure Alabama will score some. I'll say something like 31-20. Or 31-17, maybe even 34-17. I just don't think it's going to be close. I think Bryce Young is going to get exposed today. I think that he has been kind of dancing through the raindrops, so to speak. He didn't look very good against Auburn's defense. And the one thing that we found out, if you watch that game, Bryce Young, if you blitz his ass, dude, he turns into freaking Mackenzie Milton back there. He just starts panicking and just chucking it. You do that against Georgia and see what happens.
Right.
And I'm pulling for Georgia. I'm not going to lie. I'm tired of this Alabama crap. Okay. It's time for Georgia to kick the door through. Not necessarily want to see them win the national championship, but I'd like to see a national championship playoff scenario where you get Georgia, you get Michigan, you get Oklahoma State. And I don't know, Cincinnati, I guess you have to put them in there, but yeah.
Yes.
It's kind of the lesser of all the evils. I mean, unless you really want to piss Cincinnati off and put Wake Forest in there. Come on, David Dinkins, let's go.
Oh, dude, hilarious.
But I just think Alabama's going to get punched in the mouth. And they're not going to have this miracle comeback like they did against Auburn. And Bryce Young, no, not today, baby. Number 17 is going to be sitting on your damn head by the middle of the third quarter. And if it was outside, Alabama's uniforms would be very dirty by the third, fourth quarter. But since they play inside, it'll just look normal. Anyways, all right. So we've done the SEC championship game. We've done the Big 12 championship game. Now the big one, Big 10 championship game, Michigan. They are I think the last thing I saw was, I want to double check that real quick. They says that game is a night. Yeah, it's already gotten up to 11 points this morning. 11-point spread. To me, that's a little rich for my blood. I think if I was going to take someone, I would take Iowa in the points. But I do feel like Michigan's going to find a way to win this game. The over-under is low as hell, too, by the way, 43.5 points. That seems very low for a championship game. Let's start with you, Angelo. What do you think? Michigan, Iowa, who do you like, and will they cover that spread?
I think Michigan will win. I think they'll get over the hump and make the college football playoff. I think Iowa will cover, though, but I am still picking Michigan to win the game overall.
So your pick is Iowa plus the 11. Gotcha. Bobby, what say you?
11 points is a tough spread to cover in a championship game right here. But I'm going to go with Angelo. I think Michigan wins this game. And I'm not really confident in the over-under either. I'm kind of sticking away from that one. If I had to choose, I'd probably say slightly over. But I think Michigan wins by about 7 to 10 points or something, but I don't think they cover.
Tony?
I'm going to go Iowa here. I think they kind of recapture the magic they had the first 6 or 7 weeks of the season. And it's one of those things where Iowa's got an extra day of rest or so, and they did have to fight and claw just to get that win at Nebraska on Friday. But I think Michigan's going to have a little bit of that Ohio State hangover. They hadn't beat them in forever. They've been hearing how great they are all week. I think Iowa shows up at a neutral site and wins that game. I've got 21-17 Iowa.
Tones, what say you?
Yeah, if you look at Iowa's last 4 games, they've barely squeaked by Northwestern, Minnesota, U of I, and Nebraska by a combined 27 points against perhaps a weaker slate of the Big Ten. But with that being said, you have some of those teams playing good football. Nebraska's lost a ton of heartbreakers this year. U of I's played a better second half. And Iowa's really starting to get accustomed to their new quarterback. They made the change about a month back now. So you're going to start seeing better performances from this Iowa football team. And that started last week. I know Nebraska's record is measly, but if you look at their games, they've played everyone extraordinarily close. And I actually had Nebraska last week. I love Iowa plus 11 this week. My book's actually giving me 11.5 at this very moment, so I jumped on that. That's a big half a point there. I like Michigan to win, but Iowa's going to cover. I just think that this is too much of a run and gut type game, too much of a, mow the clock type game. Both of these run games are going to try and get going a little bit. I see the clock evaporating quickly, and I see Iowa backing their way into a cover today against Michigan.
I thought they were making a change at quarterback today.
Iowa's going back to their other cat,
Petrus.
Let's see. Yeah, I know it's been, Petrus. It looks like Petrus is starting again today. So it was Padilla, then it went back to Petrus. Now it's Petrus again. So
okay, that's what I thought. That's why I think I was going to cover the spread, because I caught her on the bottom line just in passing yesterday. I was like, man, they're putting them back. They played better football with Petrus under center. Now, the one thing I'm not familiar with is he coming off an injury or did he just get benched?
He just got benched, I think, because when they lost a couple, I believe that they felt to get the younger guys some reps in and whatnot. But now that they want to win again, they're going back to their better option, I feel like, at least for this season.
I still think that 43.5 is very low, very low. I feel like that could easily be gotten. I'm gonna take Iowa in the points, and I do think I would take the over. I think, look, 43.5 in a college football game, and everything's got to go right for that to stay under. I mean, everything. You can't have anything stupid like, an early touchdown, because all of a sudden you start doing the math, go, oh crap, what have I done? 43.5, you're talking about a score of what, like 24-21, get you the W. And the way they have it set up, they're saying basically that the final score will be somewhere around 27 to 15, 27 to 16 type of thing. That just seems like a lot. Michigan's gonna be able to score, and I think almost score at will. And I think Iowa can score enough to stay within the 11. But I think it's a great matchup. I'm glad they're playing Iowa, and then I'm glad it's not Wisconsin again. I'm so tired of watching Wisconsin get their ass kicked in the Big Ten championship game.
Better than Northwestern last year as well. Would they?
Oh yeah, that goes without saying. You put Northwestern in the Big Ten championship game. It's like, what are we doing? I mean, jeez.
That is COVID season written all over it. Northwestern.
It's like that one year that Muschamp snuck into the SEC title game. Like, look where I'm at. Wham! I lost by 40. Oh, never mind. Speaking of games that a lot of people may not care about, but I think it's going to be a fun game, an entertaining game. 8:00 Eastern, ACC championship game. Number 15 Pittsburgh versus number 16 Wake Forest. Today's mentality is if you're not heading to the playoffs, it's a lost season. I think this is a great season for both programs, and I'm very interested in this game. And I know Angelo is a closet Pittsburgh Panther fan. So, Angelo, what do you say about this game?
I'll pick Pittsburgh today. I know you're going to be very happy with that pick. You finally
you're giving up 3.5. You like him to cover?
Yeah, I think obviously you have two great quarterbacks in the game, but I do think Pickett is a notch above. The over under 71, so we go from talking about an over under that's really low at 43.5 to now 71. I hope it's a shootout. I hope it's a great game to watch. I mean, I really don't care who wins, but I think Pittsburgh will cover. I just think they're the better team. But I'm just hoping for a good game that everybody can enjoy.
And it looks like we're going to get good weather too. 57 degrees right now. They're saying we're on 50 degrees at kickoff. They're not expecting much, if any, precipitation. So that should be a great scene. And look, it's two schools that aren't normally in the championship games. So that's a lot of fun. I find it odd though that Wake Forest is an underdog, considering the fact that Wake Forest puts up so many points, they're getting 3.5, and that's essentially a home game in Charlotte, North Carolina. I do believe Pittsburgh fans will travel. Bobby, what say you in this game?
Yeah, I like Pittsburgh as well. I like how Kenny Pickett has played a lot this year. He's been one of my favorite quarterbacks in college football. And yeah, I honestly
hear that,
Angelo. and 71.5. That's what I'm seeing here, and I'm not sure if it's moved, but regardless, that's really high, but I think it's doable. But I'm not too terribly confident, not confident enough that I'd say put your money on it. But yeah, I like Pittsburgh to win today, and I like them to cover, but I think it should be a close game. I think it should be a shootout, and hopefully a fun one to watch.
I can't wait for your Giants to draft Kenny Pickett.
God, no. That'd be another Daniel Jones situation, I think.
It probably would.
Kenny Pickett's older though, so he doesn't have a lot of room to develop. I think he's going to be one of the guys that are good in college, and then.
Well, plus the good thing with Kenny Pickett is he probably only has about 3 years left in him, so you're not going to. It's not a long-term commitment when you actually. It's almost like when people drafted Chris Winkie. You're like, all right, well, this guy's about out of here. So, Tony, what say you? Are you going to watch any of this game?
Angelo and Bobby, I think I trust Pitt's got better talent on defense, and I think that's the biggest difference between the two. I think Pickett's been good ever since he took over after Dan Marino left. So I think, with all that experience he has, I think I love Clausen as a coach for Wake Forest. I think Tennessee should have hired him years ago, but I think he's going to stay at Wake for a long time. But I like Pitt in this one, like 52-47, something like that. I think this game's going to be really fun to watch, and especially if you've watched Wake against like UNC and some of these other games that they've played this year, where it's just been back and forth and all that. Clausen's offense is a lot of fun, so this one will be good. I'll have it on. I'll have it on as well as the Big Ten game.
Yeah, Pickett. A lot of people forget this. Was Dan Marino's backup at Pittsburgh at one point. Tones, what say you?
Anyone who watches Pittsburgh knows that they have a very competent football coach and head coach Pat Narduzzi. I interviewed former Pittsburgh quarterback and now Dallas Cowboys quarterback Ben DiNucci right after he got drafted, or I'm sorry, right before he got drafted last year. And although things didn't work out for him in Pittsburgh, he had nothing but high praises for Pat Narduzzi. And although some of these quarterbacks haven't quite panned out in the NFL, he has found ways to get Pittsburgh quarterbacks drafted. And Pickett's probably going to, they had Nathan Peterman. Although we know what he is in the NFL, he ultimately got drafted. Ben DiNucci got drafted. They had Max Brown, who people thought were going to get drafted. He didn't get drafted, but he landed himself a good USC broadcasting job. So people have success under Narduzzi, and Pickett's going to right the ship and perhaps be, drafted again really high. Perhaps some like him. So I like Pittsburgh today. I liked Wake Forest heading into the season. Past couple weeks didn't go so great. I know they beat up on Boston College, but before that they lost to Clemson, which really hurt them. I like Pittsburgh covering the 3.5 today. I think Pickett outshines Wake Forest a little bit, although it should be a shootout. Give me Pittsburgh in this one, dropping the 3.5.
I'm pulling for Wake, but I do want to see a good game. I'm going to say Wake covers. I don't know if they're going to get the W, but I think they're going to cover. I think this game just smells like a field goal game. And if I'm going to get the hook and a half in my pocket, and they're essentially playing a home game, I'm just going to go ahead and take. I think Wake's going to score a lot of points. I think Pittsburgh's going to score a lot of points. And if this feels like a game where the team who has the ball last might win the ball game, so I'm going to take to Wayne. What is Brian saying? Kane's doing big things. What the hell are the Hurricanes doing?
Do they hire Oregon's coach, perhaps?
Trying to go after Cristobal. I think I saw a report saying that if they don't get Cristobal, they're going to try and stick it out with Manny Diaz. I don't know how true that is, but it seems like a weird thing to do.
Yeah, so the Miami stuff really from yesterday is Clemson's athletic director has an MBA from Miami. He's been there very early in his career, so there's a possibility that he takes over as the new athletic director. Miami really needs to hire an athletic director.
Why would you leave Clemson to go to freaking Miami?
He was there. He's got connections. That's about the only thing I can come up with. But Miami does need to hire an athletic director before they figure out what's going on with the coach, because you don't want to hire the coach and then hire some AD that hates the coach.
They're saying Cristobal's about to. I saw this morning. Cristobal's about to sign an extension.
So he's got a choice to make. He's got an extension he could sign with Oregon, or he can come back to Miami as a former player and hire a bunch of other former players to be assistant coaches. And actually, one of the names I'd totally forgotten about, I didn't realize Ken Dorsey's a quarterback's coach, offensive coordinator up at Buffalo. So I know the former players want Cristobal, so we'll kind of see what happens. I've heard a couple on the radio this week that have been kind of running their mouths about how the former players need to donate a lot more money and get things kickstarted down there. I'll believe that when I see it. But if that combination gets brought down to Miami, I think Miami, this is their last hurrah. Like they really need to nail this one.
The ex-players are not going to spend money and donate. They're too busy buying rims. Okay. They're not going to put money to get an athletic director and a coach. You think, I mean, what are we talking about? They've got a handful of athletes, okay, that have made some money, but they don't have big money as far as Miami alums are concerned. It's a small college. Tony, this is about 9,000 people that go to that college.
Yeah, it's not a. I mean, it's a small little private school. It's not a big alumni base. I do think if they can make it happen with those two, like I said, this is kind of like, it's almost like the last stand. Like if this doesn't work, nothing else is going to. And to be honest, I don't know. I like Cristobal a lot. He wasn't coming to Florida. There was a few Florida fans that wanted him. Like if you watch those 30 on 30s, there's like three guys that really hated Florida from that. You had Lamar Thomas, you had Cristobal, and you had Randy Shannon, but Randy Shannon will literally do anything for money. So he's coached at Florida State and UCF and Florida. So he's only going to get paid by whatever shirt he's wearing at that point in time. But Cristobal is one of those guys. I think he's got the passion. If they could convince him to come down there, they've got a shot to at least like get the program maybe jump started. It's going to be so hard for them to do it long term.
Penny Blade's going to be the one donating the big money. I mean, where the hell are they going to get the big money from? It's just
only the messenger.
It is not going to happen. Jeremy Shockey all of a sudden, hit the lottery and isn't going to spend it on chains. I mean, come on. Their entire culture is, ooh, Nikes, let's buy them. Not, hey, let's go ahead and invest in our alma mater. What a clown show.
But we'll see. We should know something here in the next couple of days, one way or the other.
Okay, Brian's bragging. It's up to 11,000 students now.
Yeah,
that's almost a high school. Okay. Jeez. Oh my God.
It did look like Cristobal was checked out a little bit last night during that Pack game as well. So it'll be interesting to see if he ends up.
He's got his ass kicked like he's got his ass kicked a few weeks ago. If he's going to perform that well in big moments, I say Miami load him up. I'll donate to it.
Hey, I don't think it's going to be I don't love the hire for Miami. I'm just saying what I think would happen.
He's a full-blown dumbass if he leaves Oregon to go to Miami.
The other takeaway from that game last night, Florida starts with Utah at home next Labor Day weekend. So we'll find out quickly where we stand next year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what Utah has coming back, but they
have I think I counted they have 10 seniors and 17 juniors, and about half those guys are impact guys. So they'll have a pretty decent squad next year. Whittingham's 62. I think he's going to see out the next couple of seasons, but he's hitting that age a little bit like Mendenhall's younger, but he's hitting that age where each year could be his last too. So for all I know, hell, they might have a new coach next year, but I think he'll stick around.
I heard for Utah too, real quick, I heard because of COVID eligibility, a lot of their key defenders are technically freshmen still this year. So that's huge for them.
Yeah.
If you think
Utah in the Rose Bowl, who would have thought?
If you think that's really stupid, how about Florida State's going to play LSU next year? Let's rock and roll.
FSU added a team before that game, right? Like that's not their first, but it'll be LSU's first game, I think.
Yeah, they played Duquesne.
There you go.
Who?
Duquesne.
Do what?
Duquesne.
Yeah, exactly. But Duquesne's actually a really good FCS school, but they are an FCS school, so that means that Florida State might be able to stay within 10 points. I don't know. I'm sure we'll still have freaking Chuck and Duck out there playing quarterback for us. I doubt we're going to get anyone in the transfer portal. Anyways, moving on from that real quick, Cincinnati, Houston. We'll do this one really quick. Predictions. Let me see. What is the line on that sucker this morning?
I had 10.5, but
that's the last one I had seen was 10.5. That game's at 4 or 3:30.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, 10.5. So, Angela, let's start with you. The Cincinnati cover that spread. The over under is 52.5. So essentially, they're projecting 33.5 to 21 is what the team totals are.
Yeah, I say it'll be close in the first half. But I think Cincinnati will pull away. They know what a win will do for that program, and for the group of 5 teams. So I think Cincinnati will win and cover.
Bobby, what say you?
I don't think Cincinnati should get in the playoffs, but I know they think they should and they want to today, and they're going to need a pretty convincing win to do so. So I'm going to take Cincinnati to cover today.
Tony?
I'm taking Dana Holgerson and the Cougars today. I got 38-34. I think they end the dream, and Cincinnati is eliminated from the playoffs.
So according to you and I, by 7:00 Eastern, everyone will have turned off the SEC championship game because it's going to be an absolute ass kicking, and they'll be locked into the AAC championship.
That's right.
All right.
I do think it'll be a fun game. They hadn't played this year. I thought maybe they had, but they haven't played this year. I mentioned Houston's defensive coordinator Belk. He's going to be up for some bigger defensive coordinator jobs this year. I am interested to see what kind of plan he has to try and stop Cincinnati, who's just loaded with speed. Fickle's done a good job, and I know Fickle said he's going to stay about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. That OU job is still open, so I would not be surprised if OU throws a pretty substantial amount of money at Fickle, because I'm not sure who else OU is going to go after. There's Venables doesn't make sense to me, but maybe they want to go total opposite and go offense defense in Norman. I'm not sure.
Tones, what say you on this game?
Yeah, I like Houston to cover. I think actually, I think that Houston will do a decent job of keeping this one close at the very least. And I think Cincinnati ultimately wins the game by a field goal or whatnot, but I think Houston covers, and Houston getting that many points in a playoff game. They've been playing some good football lately, beating up on some smaller squads the past couple weeks. They've won every game by just about 25 points at least the past 3 weeks. I see them keeping it close with Cincy here. I don't think they do enough to win the game, but I think they do enough to at least cover. I like Houston to cover this one. That's just too many points for me to feel confident in Cincinnati, and all those since he covered last week against East Carolina. I don't think they do it this week against the Cougars. And like our old friend Mac always says, you got to watch out for them Cougars on college football Saturdays. You never know where they might.
A little too early for the Cougars to be out on a Saturday afternoon. They normally strike on Saturday nights right around 11:30 when you're looking all groggy and can't quite make out.
It's championship weekend though, so maybe they pop out early today,
That's right.
She says she's 38, but she keeps referring to her knickers and bloomers. I don't know, man. Something sketchy about this one. Okay, real quick, around the bend. Give me the best college football hire so far, and you can't take your team. So Tony and Bobby, leave Napier out of this. Start with you, Angelo. The best college football hire this week.
Oh man. Can I go? No, I was gonna go with the guy up at UConn. What's the guy's name? Who the
playoff?
Jim Mora.
I do like the Napier hire. I think that's good for the other program in the state. So I'll go with them.
Bobby, what say you?
I don't like how he went about leaving, but I'm going to say, since I can't say Napier, I'll go with Lincoln Riley. And just because I don't think he's the greatest coach, but I think he's going to, take that USC program to much better levels than I guess they have been lately. They haven't had a coach that's really given them a lot of success in recent years. So I'm going to say Lincoln Riley is probably the best hire for USC.
Tony?
I would have taken Riley over Napier anyway, as far as who my pick is for the best coach, best fit at the right place. And I think he's perfect for Southern Cal. I think he'll finally, it's crazy to me. So I actually think Clay Helton's a decent coach at other places. What's funny is Helton went straight from USC to Georgia Southern, like the week after he was fired. So I think he kind of already had that destination picked out for whatever reason. But I think Riley will revamp Southern Cal. I don't think they'll get to the point where they're at the point where they were with Pete Carroll, but I do think they need a giant shot in the arm when it comes to recruiting. I think he's going to bring over a really good staff. He really only has Oregon to compete with as far as recruiting on that West Coast, because Chip Kelly's not a great recruiter at UCLA. The Arizona schools don't matter anymore down, in that conference. And Washington State, they pull kids from Northern California, but they're not going to LA to pull kids like the other programs or like SC does. So I really like Riley there. I think at LSU, I think Kelly's going to do fine there. He's not going to show up there and go 6-6 every year. I don't think. I think he's going to be like a 9-3, 10-2 coach. But if he can bring in the right kids there and the timing works out with however long Saban's going to be at Alabama, he might be a guy that can bring them an SEC championship at some point here in the next few years. But you got to find that magic. All these programs have to find that magic where you find that difference-making generational quarterback, and that's how Orgeron got his national championship. It's how Gene Chizik got his at Auburn. So if you can find that right guy, the other pieces can fall in place.
Tones, what say you?
I'm going with a different one here. I'm going with Virginia Tech as they look to get their football program back. I actually really like the Brent Pry hire, defensive coordinator from Penn State. I know that sounds homerish, but he's done a fantastic job riding the ship with Penn State's defense. And although James Franklin was the one who was rewarded with the big payday, I really do think Pry is the man behind a lot of the power that Penn State has showed and produced of these past few seasons, as their defense has kept them in a lot of games. And Fuente's got low or let go from Virginia Tech because he only won 5 or 6 games in 4 or 5 straight seasons for the Hokies. So at the end of the day, I think Pry can get this program back on the right track. It might be a rough first year for Virginia Tech and Brent Pry, but I think he gets their defense going at least in the year 2023. And I think we see them in bowl contention again, not shortly after. So I really like a couple of these hires. I like the Napier hire a lot as well, but my favorite one is probably Brent Pry to Virginia Tech.
Hey, Toads, I thought that Virginia's first call should be to Mike Yurcich just to have the two coordinators go after each other for a few years.
Yeah, they're actually mentioning that too. I think Virginia said that a name, or people have said a name to watch for Virginia is Penn State's other co-defensive coordinator. So imagine the Penn State DCs battling it out in Virginia Tech for the next couple rivalry weekends.
Yeah,
I'm going to go with Lincoln Riley. I think everything's set up for them for him to just succeed tremendously. Will this head to the NFL? That's the thing. I don't know if Lincoln Riley's there for the long haul. For the long haul, it might be Brian Kelly. It might be Brian Kelly going into LSU. I just have a hard time pulling for him because, first of all, what a phony ass he was. What's up, y'all? Trying to talk Cajun, and I can't even give it a good try. I'm like, what are you talking about? You're from the Northeast. You spent your last several years in Indiana, and he comes in and goes, family, and, y'all. It's like, dude, I don't even sound that damn country. What the hell's wrong with you? So he's a phony ass that isn't going to, that I think will probably do well enough long-term to keep his job. I don't know if he's going to win that national championship, because he's going to go over into a division very shortly. It's going to be Alabama, LSU, Georgia, Florida. And, oh, by the way, you still have Tennessee and other schools over there.
Well, and Fisher's got it rolling recruiting-wise at A&M, and if he can find that quarterback that he hasn't had the last year or two, he's got a shot for something big too. So the other thing with Kelly, and this is more LSU, it doesn't matter who took that job, but if LSU ever finally gets busted for all the Title IX stuff and the Will Wade stuff that they've been investigated for the last 4 or 5 years, like what's that going to do to that program and scholarships and stuff like that? So I'd keep an eye on that as well with Kelly.
I mean, I'm assuming that has as much of a chance of getting prosecuted as the Epstein hanging. I mean, I just feel like it's going to go, what are you talking about? No,
it's going to be like 10 years down the road and we're still waiting. So
exactly. All right, let's go ahead and do our lock and our one big thing. Catch everyone up to date here. Tones, you are 3-7 on the year. Angelo 2-6. Tony 4-4, and Bobby 4-6. The stupid underdog picks, those things finally ended up last week. I won it at 31. Angelo, you had a good run there towards the end, getting to 24 points. Tones was third with 21. Bobby at 11.5, and Tony with 8. And I'm going to say a lot of that had to do with he was swinging for the fences there.
I was so close with the Auburn one last week.
You were so close. You were.
It was amazing that Georgia Tech didn't pull through for me on Saturday.
Yeah, had you done that, you would have finished in second, really close to me. I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I got hot at the beginning of the year, and I just tried to hold on. That's basically all that was. Okay, so let's go ahead and do our picks. Obviously, there's not a lot of games here, so that's why you can't have stupid underdog picks, because you have like 4 games. We'll just all be playing chess and just go, well, I'll take that game too then. How about that? All right, let's go ahead and start with Angelo. What is your lock and your one big thing?
My lock is Oklahoma State -6.5. And one big thing is I think it'll go chalk. I think all the higher ranked teams will win.
Wow. Okay. Bobby, what is your lock in your one big thing?
I'll go with, Oklahoma State, Baylor over 46. I think both these teams are very good defensively, but I still think 46 is too low of a line for a Big 10 championship or Big 12 championship game. Sorry. I think they'll hit the over on that probably.
And your one big thing?
Oh, my one big thing. Sorry. I'm going to say Georgia. I'm going to say they handle business today against Bama. So they put the nail in the coffin for Alabama's season, and they executed that 1 seed going into the playoffs.
Tony, what is your lock in your one big thing?
I can't believe we did not micro analyze this game, but I've got Cal Berkeley over Southern Cal.
Yeah, well,
stay up late for that one.
Exactly, 10:30 at night, man. I can't wait for that one.
Awesome little COVID makeup game. It feels like 2020 again. So somehow the Pac-10 doesn't have this managed. Like Washington basketball has had to reschedule a few games here lately too. But
who are you taking here, Cal?
I'm taking Cal. Yeah, you get Aaron Rodgers against Matt Leinart. You got to go Aaron Rodgers. And then I think we see a little bit of chaos today. Like I said, the rivalry game hangover. I've got Baylor, and I've got Iowa too. So we'll see. But yeah, should be a fun day. I do like it's basically from 12 till I'm not staying up for that Berkeley game. I was just being weird, but it'll basically be from 12 to 11. So that'll be nice.
Tones, what's your lock in your one big thing?
Dang you, Tony. You had me eyeing down that game. I was all over that game. Bears out. And
don't worry, man. Prairie View versus Jackson State's out there, baby bear.
That's right.
I know. I was warming up to that one too. There's so much big games today. NIU, Kent State.
We're going to have to get you your own sticker, like a baby bear sticker you slap on the board.
Boom. I don't even know if they make stickers for those schools.
Whatever noise it is that they make with
that. Oh, man. Hey, we didn't talk about this one, so I'm going with it. Mountain West championship game. You got Utah State going in or facing off against San Diego State. This one's on Fox at 3 Eastern, I believe, on Fox. I'm going with Utah State, and the points. They're getting 6 points here. San Diego State actually benched their quarterback last week. Their offense did look a little better after a quarterback change, but that's never good to not know who your QB is going into a championship game. I think Utah State wins this one today. And my one big thing, my walk-off, is Harbaugh or Fickle. One of them is gone. One of them is going to leave. It'll either be Harbaugh to the Chicago Bears or it will be Fickle staying in the college ranks. So one way or another, I believe we're nearing the end for one of the top coaches at their spots right now, whether it's Harbaugh in Michigan or Fickle at Cincinnati. I just see one of them.
You think Harbaugh would leave Michigan to go coach the Bears?
If he makes the playoffs this year, I think he looks at it and says, I don't think it could get better at this in Michigan. And, if the Bears throw him that much stupid money, you never know. You never know. I'm not.
If his roster is probably better at Michigan than it would be when he takes over Chicago.
You're not lying there.
Yeah, that Bears job is kind of a death trap. And the other name I keep hearing for the Bears for whatever reason is Ryan Day. And I think that would even be dumber than Harbaugh, but.
Why don't you just have David Ross coach the Bears during the fall? Just save a little money around there. Man.
Yeah. The one thing with Harbaugh, and I guess I could see it. The only thing is, he has still recruited well. Like it's not lack of talent really at Michigan. And if he can get the quarterback year after year, they've got a shot now. I would hope he'd want to see it through after they finally beat Ohio State and see what the next 2 or 3 years can bring. But like I said, you never know with him. He's a weirdo. So.
My lock of the day is also my one big thing. Georgia -6.5 and the Alabama Crimson Tide stay home for the playoffs. We no longer have to see those dirty bums until next year when they're motivated and going to.
If they were playing anyone on earth, I'd be right there with you. I'm tired of Alabama too.
Come over to the dark side, Tony. There's no reason to pull for the Alabama Crimson Tide. At any what? Georgia's not going to win it all if they make it. You buy any of that?
Oklahoma State's going to beat them or something?
I don't want to find out.
Notre Dame's going to beat him.
If Georgia wins, by the way, obviously knocking Alabama out, and let's say it is Cincinnati that gets in, and Oklahoma State. Who is the 4 seed? Who does Georgia have to play? Are they going to put Cincinnati there? Or
Michigan? Michigan would be the 2, no?
Michigan would be the 2, but who would be the 3 and who would be the 4? Would you put?
I'd put OK State at 3 and then Cincinnati 4.
Yeah.
What about everyone else?
Cincinnati getting in would have to be the 4 for me.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, I agree.
So So no one has Cincinnati being the 4. Oh, I'm sorry, Cincinnati being the 3 and Oklahoma State being the 4.
No,
not based on a multitude of factors. As Bobby
I think Cincinnati getting in is out of reluctance anyway, so you got to put them at 4.
I'd kind of like to see Oklahoma State versus Georgia and Michigan. The only reason why I would like to see Cincinnati play Michigan is to get Michigan to the championship game against Georgia. It gives us a bit, because if Oklahoma State upsets Michigan, then I have no hope for Georgia getting upset.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess unless anyone has anything else, this is our last show for a while. We'll probably do a championship. When is the championship this year? Is it on New Year's Day, or does anyone know?
I think it's on the 9th or 10th, if I remember. I
feel like they did something stupid and put it on New Year's Eve again this year. I feel like that was the thing. College. I'm gonna Google it real quick. College football playoff. Oh Lord.
It is Monday, January 10th, the championship game.
Yeah, but that's not the playoffs. That's the
semis are New Year's Eve.
Yeah, the semis are New Year's Eve.
Oof. Does New Year's Eve fall on a Friday or Saturday this year?
Friday.
It falls on a Friday. New Year's Day is Saturday.
That's going to be tough to do. We'll see what we can squeeze in, and we'll let everybody know. Tomorrow we'll be back on the Handicappers, and great season, y'all. And we'll probably do a bowl show that, but I'll get with anyone who wants to jump on that. We're not doing it this damn early. I know that much. I'm looking forward to sleeping in on Saturday. That's what I'm looking at. We'll see you.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
See you, everybody.
See you.